So stage 3 is we actually need to fold it over like a loop. And that cut edge that underneath there that we've got, a existing cut edge that we've got, we're going to match our new cut edge with it. So both edges, so it's like a loop. This is one way of doing welt jets and welts. There is many ways of doing them, but just so you know, this is just one version. This is probably the version that I find the easiest to do. And I'm just pinning it at the moment so that that cut edge and the other cut edge, these two cut edges of the lining are meeting all the way through. I'm going to flip it over to the wrong side just to show you where I want you to stitch, because we're going to be stitching on the inside in a minute, but it's easier to see from the outside. That's the stitch line that has stitched on your welt and attached your welt to the garment. We're now going to stitch the top stitch line that is going to attach your lining to your garment, which is going to be on the inside of your welt. The thing to note is that goes from edge to edge on your welt. The top one that we're going to do, actually, remember the last jet pocket we did, we stitched our top line and our bottom line absolutely parallel and made sure we had square ends. This time, not the case at all. We're going to stitch the top seam so that it finishes 1 centimetre shorter on each end than that lower seam. Okay? So what it will really finish like, if we've stitched from our drill holes out, if we've stitched, say for instance, 1 centimetre beyond our drill holes, we're actually going to finish at our drill holes. Okay, so we're going to finish somewhere between 5 mils and 1 centimetre shorter on each side. 5 mils is the absolute boundary that you want. You don't want to be any less than 5 mils, otherwise you'll start to see, when you flick it up the other way, you'll start to see your drill hole. But it should be 1 centimetre in on that, for this top one here. So I'm going to back tack and stitch and back tack and stitch. Tricky part is you've actually got to do it through here underneath. So looking at your drill hole, you should be able to see him quite clearly from this side. Find your drill hole, make sure it's a foot's width from that cut edge again, and then back tack. Pin out of the way maybe. Back tack. Make sure those two cut edges are nice and meeting together, because they'll have a tendency to want to bleed open, but no, make sure they stay together. When we come up to this other end, these seams are actually cut slightly on the bias, so you will notice that they will stretch a little bit. So you've got to try not to stretch them, just let them sit as they are. I want to stop 1 centimetre from that edge, which is probably one more stitch, and then back tack. Okay, I pull him out. Cut off my ends. Let's flick him over and see what we've got. It's harder to see from the wrong side than it is to see from the right side. Trim off my ends, and can you see now that top stitch is 1 centimetre shorter on each end than the underneath one. So the one that stitches on your welt goes from the edge of your welt to the edge of your welt. The one that you stitch when you stitch your lining on finishes 1 centimetre shorter and 1 centimetre shorter than your existing stitch line. Okay, so let's recap that. What we did is, for this stage, for stage 3, is we folded our lining around to meet in a loop to meet that cut edge underneath, so that edge to edge meeting, we pinned it, and then we pulled it back at the fabric back, and we back tacked foot's width, stitched all the way through, and back tacked at the other end. But we just made sure that when we stitched it, we started and finished 1 centimetre shorter than our welt stitch line. Okay, and that's stage 3. Any questions on stage 3?